Welcome to our hidden ocean view treehouse nest. This cozy hangout is nestled high up in a large Indian almond tree, standing more than 40 feet tall. Nicole and I built the multi-layer nets using only thick sailboat line for the outer perimeter and regular paracord for the main netting. We spent more than 100 hours weaving approximately 1 mile of paracord to make this, using a chaos pattern that makes the main nets as tight as a drum, which is both comfortable and structurally safe, with as many as 50 separate lines tied underneath a person. Despite having never done anything like this before, and only watching a few YouTube videos on other tree net builds for instruction, we both quickly adapted to this unique style of building without using any nails or bolts, which is why tree nets like this do not hurt the tree. In fact, these lines will help support the tree's outer limbs in storms, and when the wind does blow, it makes the nets feel like you're gently rocking on the ocean, which you can see out below. Consisting of 3 stories, 2 stairways, 2 main nets, a top lookout, and the most amazing view straight through the canopy out to the open ocean. Lounging up here on a sunny day still never fails to make me feel like I'm living in a fairy tale. Welcome to this full tour of my secret oceanside treehouse nest. We're gonna start this from the very bottom and work our way all the way up to the top. I'm gonna explain to you each nest and how it was built and what functions it serves, what it's like to stay up here for an entire night, and how easy it was to build this truly phenomenal place to hang out and relax. And just look at that view. Woo! All right, starting from the very bottom is actually how I get up here. Now normally this branch would go all the way down almost to the ground and make getting up here a breeze. But unfortunately, as we just came here yesterday, someone bulldozed right up into this tree, completely destroying this area, unearthing all this garbage that had been left around. It's really honestly kind of heartbreaking. But throughout all of this, no one has noticed this secret tree nest. It's just up here. So I'm really happy that I decided to make this tree nest as invisible as possible. I could have built much lower. I could have built into all of these right here. But had I done that, this place definitely would have been discovered. Versus now, even though people come up literally underneath this, they still don't know it's here. So for getting up here, it's a little bit of a mission. All of that used to be the branch that would help us climb up. So now you've got about a 6-foot gap between you and the ground that you have to be able to climb up here. It's not as ideal, but again, I kind of like it for the sake of less people can come up here. So now you have to climb up until you get to the staircase, which is where all of this really begins. Climbing up isn't too bad, but it's definitely not for the faint of heart. We again purposely didn't want to make this too easy. Even if somebody did see it, which I'm sure somebody has, I didn't want them to be able to just climb right on up here and potentially destroy this really cool thing that Nicole and I built. So we come into here, which this is where the main trunk splits off, and you can see the tree nest now from underneath. It's cool to note that Nicole and I, when we first started this, we actually built a little mini one right here just to test our capabilities, and then we quickly took it out. This tree nest has certainly grown from the original one, Eagle's Nest, which is right here, to then the Mandela Nest, which is right underneath this, to then having sides on them, to then the staircase, and then finally the 3rd story that goes all the way up. So let's get on into that. So again, you have to be able to climb up a tree to get in here. There's certainly no safe and easy way to get up here, but that's kind of what I want. If somebody wants to come up here to check this place out, I want them to have to work for it. So here we see the staircase. This was definitely the hardest thing for me to build because I had to find out attachment points to send out to keep this rope all the way out, or else it would bunch in. Now this is technically where I consider this tree nest to start, so that's why I call it 3 stories tall, is because it starts right here, going on up to then the 1st level. You've got nice supports here on the sides. You have a ton of space for your feet to rest on it. There's not really too much more to say on it than that this is actually the old main sheet to my sailboat. So a bit of my sailboat will always be here in this tree, which is cool to know. Going on up to walk into it, again, you've got a really easy spot for your feet, and then you come here to this. Now some of you might be thinking this is a little bit claustrophobic or tube-like, or like you're like a mouse in a maze. That's kind of what I wanted. As I was planning this thing out, I really had in mind like a McDonald's play place. Those giant jungle gyms that would have those tubes, and it would bring out like my inner child. So that's kind of what I did here in a couple spots. So you do have to be able to squeeze through this. You put your foot right here, and then you climb up on into it, and you'll see it's really not too bad. But if you're not a little bit nimble, it's gonna be difficult. So here we are now to the 1st one, the Mandela Nest. This is where I slept last night, but normally we don't bring blankets and pillows up here. We just relax in it as is. But if you're gonna spend the night, you definitely want something underneath you and on top of you, because we actually got a little cold last night. Okay, there we go. So the Mandela Nest was unique in that it was the second one we did, but I actually started it at the house we were staying at by weaving together, I think it was like 10 different strands all together with this. So this is 5 lines of paracord square knotted to make 5 different loop circles. And then it was 5 different of these loop knots that went out. So this started out looking exactly like a spider's web, and I kind of thought I could keep that going. But then when you do the chaos pattern involved to make it like this, we found out that it was just gonna kind of look like the rest, but it still retains this cool little hole in the center, which I really like. It just reminds me of how I built it and how excited I was when I first built it. Now this one feels pretty secure because you have 2 lines of backing, so you're able to rest up really nicely. Now we're in the upper canopy up here, so we don't have complete shade all the way on like if we were lower, but still you get really good shade all the way through here. It's nice to be able to go from one spot to another throughout the day as the sun starts to hit you, because here in the Dominican Republic, it gets hot. Also from back here, it's nice that I can look out over the entire nest and I have that beautiful ocean view. And mind you, these are the trade winds that are coming on every day, so you can guarantee that you're gonna have a really nice breeze. There's never any mosquitoes up here, there's never any gnats, it just feels really nice. This nest in particular is very well like grounded in. I don't feel like I can fall out anywhere. I don't ever feel like I can go this way because this is so much higher, you will naturally roll the other way. And I do like how it's all left natural this way. I don't want to bar this in too much. I don't want to turn this thing into like a bubble wrapped safety pen. I want this still to be a little bit dangerous. So you should always be ready and be careful while you're up here. As well, going this way, it'd be really hard to roll out. Chunk of the tree here, and then the split here that goes up for the stairs. Now moving on over to this is the eagle's nest. This is the first one that Nicole and I really worked on. And it was originally a perimeter line that went all the way around here, and you can see where it goes throughout the rest. Now it's kind of hard to see where all that goes to now because we've added in so many other lines throughout it. But just imagine that from here over is the eagle's nest. This one's definitely the largest that's here. The 2 of these do come together, but this is the largest, just single expanse of paracord here. And some of you at home might be watching this and think like, oh wow, if one of those paracords breaks, he's done. Not even close. Even if one strand was to snap here, the rest of it that's looped throughout this will still stay nice and taut for a long while. Besides that, there's so many different strands. I don't know how many strands go into each one if I had to count them out, but most of what we did were these 12-foot strands, so you know they're always going to be linking back to this perimeter rope here that goes around all the other trees. And this is a good time for me to mention that all the ropes here are in this fashion, where they only rest on the back of one side of the tree, or maybe even 3/4, but never all the way around. None of the ropes here are noosing any of the trees, so this won't hurt the tree at all. If anything, it will actually give it some really good stabilization, and it's cool because it's gonna hold all the limbs together even as the wind blows, but enough of that. So definitely the best thing about this nest, it has a really good backing to it as well. Nicole did this one, and it's just really comfortable. They're not very tight, but when you lay on them, they all kind of come together and it gives you a really good backing. Again, you have a beautiful ocean view. It's kind of the whole thought of this is that we ended up always looking out to the ocean. And it was only recently that we actually broke the dead limbs that were out here and found out just how good the view was. There still is a lot of that tree there that I could break off. It's just dead wood, and the tree would appreciate not having to carry that. Oftentimes like to put our gear up here, but now that this whole nest is done, you can hang gear anywhere, and I found that's really the best. There's always some line, a tree limb, something you can hang something on. So you end up getting as much use out of all this space here as physically possible. This net over here is the only sort of dangerous one in that there's absolutely no rails up here. And that was a conscious decision. We put some railing here, we put some railing there, and then as well some right there to help hold the tree together as well as help hold up the staircase underneath. Like I said, the staircase was a lot of work to get done. So the reason why we didn't weave another rest back here, which we easily could have done, is we both agreed we just wanted an unobstructed view of the ocean. I love the idea that this is like a cliff right here. If you fall off, you better grab a limb quick because it's about 30 feet to the ground. You don't want to do that, trust me. Neither of us has fallen here because usually what happens is we weave a nest and we kind of tie ourselves in, or we'll be leaning over a line. It just makes it really hard to fall. But for sure, we did not make this thing with OSHA standards. We made this thing fun and easy because that's how we wanted to do it. I think this side here is probably Nicole's favorite. I like being back there on the Mandela's Nest and kind of looking out onto this. But like I said, when the sun shines, a lot of times you just want to get away from it all. It's been really interesting actually how few limbs we've ever snapped accidentally. A lot of them we've been able to just loosely tie a little bit and bend them back up and around, and now the tree seems to have left those in place. This particular tree is definitely not a hardwood. Any of these smaller limbs break very easily, even something like this. I'm always careful when I'm climbing up here to be holding onto a big strong limb or further down or onto the ropes. Like I said, the ropes are very secure, very strong, but also every paracord loop that goes around it could then also hold it. So even if you cut here, I doubt that this would come undone, but certainly not this and not this and not this. So this whole thing is held up in so many different places by so many extra paracord lines and rope lines that go in through here. It's kind of daunting though when you look down through and you realize how far you could fall, but I think that's what makes it really cool. Oh, and looking up is like half the fun. Looking up at the leaves, the greenery, the ocean, all from up above, this feels kind of unreal. This feels a bit like the big tree in Avatar. It's something that's kind of like our home now. This is where we go when we want to relax, we want to rest. And the other thing, if you do want to skip the stairs, you can lower yourself down to here and come down. I do that once in a while if I don't feel like squishing my way through. Sometimes we'll use a piece of paracord or rope to lower down our backpacks and stuff, but generally speaking, we just climb and throw them up onto here. With that limb that's broken down there now, we might have to reassess that, but you know what? This is meant to be a cool, wild hangout, not like a permanent residency or Airbnb. Last thing on here is this little side shelf that goes up. This right here definitely gets the least amount of use. It was originally going to be the staircase that went up that way, but I realized I would have had to have cut this limb, and I just didn't want to cut anything on this tree. I wanted to move things a little bit if I could or had to. You can see even this is going to be held up and pushed over so it doesn't go too low. But I mean, look how close that is. Like, you want to be surrounded by the green here. You don't want to hurt the tree. You want the leaves for shade protection and for stealth protection. Because remember, there's a public beach right here that sometimes has 100 people coming here, and they've never seen us up here. I've had people walk directly underneath us, and they haven't noticed. And actually, just yesterday, I had two friends of mine try to find this place before I showed it to them. And they were literally underneath it, but did not know where it was. They knew they were close, but didn't find it. So stealth was a huge consideration when we started building this. Like I said, this is the very first one, so you see there's some yellow in here. That's kind of just because that's what we had. There's yellow, there's tan, there's some black. It's just whatever paracord we have. But then we quickly switched to this forest green camo paracord. I ended up buying, I believe, just about a mile of it. That's right, there's about a mile of paracord in all of this up here. And it's really not that hard to do that. I could easily see putting even another mile into just what's already here, just to make all the holes closer together. Because you do gotta think that the closer together the holes are, the more comfortable the nest is. So having holes like this is a lot more comfortable than having holes like that. When you're sitting on it, it kind of pushes through your butt and it's not as comfortable. All right, so that's enough from the main platform right here, the Mandela Nest and the Eagle's Nest. Fun backrest, great view, that's what it's all about. Now let's head up to the third floor here. So I integrated pieces of wood for your feet to be like a staircase. It wasn't easy to do, and in fact, I just broke one the other day, so I'll have to repair that. But let me just start by saying that this staircase slash ladder was a lot of fun to build, and you see how it just goes through that small opening up there. Originally, we were gonna be building one that went across all of this, but the limbs up there are just a little bit too small, and we decided it was time to stop building and start enjoying this. Really happy we did that. You can certainly keep building forever, but you gotta know when to stop. So I'm very happy Nicole urged me to stop building and start enjoying. So let's head up here. So you see it still is pretty tight, and I've had to use some paracord to help pull back the tree a little bit. So we walk up right through here, boom, and then we can put our feet into these rungs and it goes all the way up. Now remember, this is a little bit tight. I want this to be like a McDonald's play place. I really would love it if kids come here, parents bring their kids up here. Here we go. The good thing about it being so tight like that is you're not worried about falling out. Because up here at the top, I'd estimate we're about 40 feet high. And especially right here where we are, there's nothing big underneath us to stop us. You're gonna go straight to the ground. So you gotta be really careful when you're up here. This is quite a bit easier for Nicole, and I kind of built it for her in that way. She's about a foot shorter than me, so she gets up here a lot easier. So there's a few reasons why we built this third story up here, and there's really room for one person to sit comfortably, or two people that can stand up here very easily, especially with the rest of the tree. So the reasons why we built this is we can't quite see the sunset. That's pretty much it. The sunset gets blocked out by the other trees, but if you're sitting in here, you can easily see out and across over the horizon, all the way back that way. You see what a commanding view this has. We can see the whole parking lot, the ocean, the point, my sailboat somewhere over there. It's just really cool to be able to have this last lookout to go all the way up, but also too, watching a sunset. I wanted to make this bigger. I wanted to go all the way across. You see this large area over here, but I just think it's more time to enjoy this. We're not going to be here forever. We're going to sail out in a couple months, so I want to be ready for that. It's pretty wild. From up here you can actually see probably one of the best angles of this entire tree nest, which is to look right down through there. I feel like there's no angle that actually shows everything here because it's all hidden within itself, even when you're up in it or below it or with the drone. So it's kind of a hard place to wrap your head around. You have to walk it and see it really to believe it. All right, heading back down can also be a little bit tricky. That's why I've got ropes on the side. You really don't want to fall out of this thing. But with these rungs here, it's really nice. You can put your feet right into it and you sort of just slide on down. It's really nice. It takes a little while to get used to just jumping around in here. You're definitely thinking when you first build this, is this thing really gonna hold my weight? But again, there's so many different ropes. There's no 1, 2, 3, or even 10 ropes that could be broken at once that would make you fall. At worst, this thing would just all collapse into like a big net. So it's pretty cool that it has that safety feature, so you're not gonna worry about killing yourself up here. All right, now the last thing I wanna say while I'm up here is that if you guys are seeing this video and you think, wow, this looks really cool, I wanna do it, but I don't have this or that, all you need is paracord and rope, and you could probably do it with just paracord. I literally just saw a few videos online, didn't even watch the full tutorial, came up, made a few mistakes on the first trial run, and then came up here and made the bigger one. It's so stupid simple. Weaving this really isn't that hard. You're literally just going from one side to the other and tightening it every time you go through something. You can see a ton of different videos on this. Some of the people that make these things are crazy good. This one I think is in a crazy good location. As far as actual building this goes, I would love to see what some of the professional tree net builders would think of this. Let's check in with Nicole and see what her thoughts are. I can't believe we've never knocked over any of these leaves here. Nicole and I have been working on this for, how long do you think? Like 2 months?
Yeah.
Some weeks we put in more work than others. What would you say is your favorite feature about this and your least favorite feature?
I love the stairs with the branches in it. That's my favorite feature of mine too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was your least favorite feature?
The ants on that tree branch.
Oh.
This is my favorite spot right here.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time right there.
Yeah.
You look very, very comfortable, very cozy. Hey, thanks so much for watching the whole video, you guys. I really appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to build a nest like this, where you'd want to build it, what cool location. Do you know of different patterns you can use? Do you know of different materials? I think all this is really cool and can be expanded upon greatly. You could put hammocks up here. You can weave actual hard objects into this. You can do a ton of cool stuff. And I think the potential is really just limited to your mind. The sky's the limit, or at least the height of the tree. All right, cheers. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I hope you feel inspired to begin adventures of your own. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. For an exclusive, in-depth look at this adventure lifestyle and to further support my channel, become a member of my Patreon crew. Link in the description. I'll see you on the next adventure.